I remember that shot. I remember that day where you have the procession walking up to where the tikis are, and sitting there looking into the monitor, turning to the director and saying, "You have just captured one of the most iconic Hawaiian images I think I've ever seen." Today we bring back producer Brian Keaulana. Sometimes Kauna reveals itself not in words, but in signs. Our conversation recalls how Chief of War created unforgettable experience, where past and present unite, and where storytelling and real life merge. Uncle Brian Keaulana, thank you for coming again. I mean, this is the finale episode. Yeah, we made it all the way through. So much went into this production. So much went into what we had to do to get us here. And I mean, this episode was a big one. So just a reminder, you cannot watch this talk story session if you have not seen the episode. You have to watch it and then come here, because there's just a lot to unpack. I mean, it's such a bringing everything to this place. One thing I want to point out is in the pre-production of this show, we didn't know, we don't know about season 2 or, if this show can continue. And we had decided to restructure this show to end in this place. So whether or not the show would get picked up again, this needed to be our story. Our story needed to be about Kamehameha stepping into his role as the mo'i, or the king of Hawaii's kingdom, and Kuleana's place as his chief of war. And we knew that this was going to be the place that would hold us, so that, when season 2 comes, we're ready to move to the next level for these guys. But getting here was a lot. I mean, in episode 8, finally bringing Kamehameha and Kuleana back together with one purpose. That's where we start this episode. And for me, I love the scene with Tony and Kuleana. That friendship that has been there. Kuleana obviously has changed through the course of this show. He's become different. Jason and I use the words that he's been infected by the outside world, and he just operates in a way that's not fully Kanaka, But the friend for him that's been there for him and that helps guide him and keep him grounded is Tony. And I've talked about Tony in past talk story sessions, but this is a time where we really get to see his backstory, and we understand a little bit more about him and what he's been through. A runaway slave, ran away to New England, jumped on a ship, and he's able to really tell us his story. And Kuleana's character assuring him that, look, you're done running, we can actually have a kingdom that's worth staying for. You don't have to run, you will always have a home here. And just the acting of this scene, was so good, and it's actually one of my favorite scenes of the show.
I think, like when you enrolled that also too, it still exists in our culture, right? Where we hanai, or in other words, adopt. We adopt people, and when we adopt them, they may not be of the blood, but they're of the heart, right? And then they incorporate them to the family, so I guess, even back then, all the values that we had back then is shared.
Right. Yeah. It's one of my favorite scenes, the scene with Kuleana and Tony, really getting a sense of, Tony's backstory, and really, we were holding it for a while to kind of get to this place. And, I've mentioned in the past, but just to reiterate, Tony's character is loosely based on a real person, Anthony Allen. Anthony Allen really did. You know, he was a runaway slave, and he escaped up to New England, jumped on a ship, you know, worked as a cook, carpenter, even learned a little bit about, you know, medicine as a doctor, and traveled around the world, ended up in Hawaii, you know, eventually became, you know, a counselor to Kamehameha. The only difference is he wasn't on Kuleana's boat, but I mean, it was such a great opportunity to bring these two worlds together.
Yeah.
And, you know, James Udon plays it so well. I mean, he was such a professional from the beginning. I remember his audition process. He was just always just had the right characterization, you know, just the way he played it. Because we needed to have someone in Kuleana's transition, you know, from going Kanaka to being infected by the outside world, right? To like have this positioning. And he's less and less Kanaka by the episode, right? By the finale, he's actually less and less. That as he's sort of the family starting to slip away a little bit, that he has this friend that's always there, you know, and this friend that supports him. And after hearing his backstory, just learning that Kuleana's character is like, look, man, you don't have to run. Like, this is it. This can be home for you. It was just a really important scene. It was a really important scene for this episode.
Yeah. The whole thought about Hanai, right?
Yeah.
You know, adopt.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, again, you know, seeing that from the past to how we as a people, you know, still live, that we still have family that we Hanai, that we adopt, that we consider Hawaiian and hot. Right. You know,
Yeah, exactly. As the scene gets deeper, the setup becomes really important, right? Because for Kamehameha's character, it's been all about, you know, reluctance for the most part, like, you know, stepping into this role that's expected. And, you know, it's hard for people to do that. Leadership is a scary thing, you know. The thing that it leads into, which I think was really important, and, you know, Kaina, he just has such an ability to bring this storyline out. But it's all the way up to this point throughout the episodes, it's really been about Kamehameha trying to find his place, you know, a little reluctant, maybe hopeful, but stepping into a role of leadership is difficult, you know. But by episode 9, he's really stepped into it now. And once he did that, right, he was struggling to feel like he could hear the voice of Ku. And then in episode 8, we finally get to this place to where he's decided, you know, maybe I haven't been hearing the voice of Ku because it's chosen to speak in a new voice, right? And that is the red mouth weapon. So he and Kuleana are coming together. And we have this beautiful moment where you have the procession walking up to where the tikis are. And I remember that shot. I remember that day and sitting there looking into the monitor and, you know, turning to the director and saying, you have just captured one of the most iconic Hawaiian images I think I've ever seen. You know, with the exception of paintings and all of that, we've got full regalia, you know, and Hawaii Island being represented in the colors and in the kahili and just the full feather capes, the mahi ole, and it was just beautiful. I know. I just remember thinking, I can't believe this is our job. Like, we have an opportunity to do this. I did want to tell a quick background story. And you know this, but the background story of the main ki'i that's there. Massive. You know, those things are huge. You know, with that, we talked about earlier the collaboration of the carvers wanting to hand carve these ki'i out of real wood. This is mainly for the audience, but that ki'i, the one that's central in the scene, was carved from Ohia, from Hawaii Island. That massive piece, it was shipped to Aotearoa, where we had to carve it, you know, Master Carver Lineup Grant. But then he would bring Andre Perez and a group of his carvers, and they literally came out a couple times during productions and just worked on it. And it was so beautiful that, you know, all of them are carved from wood, but that one particularly, coming from Hawaii Island, being erected on set, we had to bless it, you know, like it had to be blessed. So it went through that whole protocol and stood there, and it's so prominent in this episode and so prominent in the scene that it's just worthy to speak about. Again, how do we bring, you know, cultural integrity, cultural authenticity to a Hollywood production where everything is generally fake, and you know, it's so much easier to carve that thing, you know, with a chainsaw and polystyrene or
like you
whatever.
Said, the backstory, right? A lot of people don't understand the journey that we all take. You know, like for example, just getting the Ohio wood,
Right.
you know, going into the forest, right? Asking permission, you know, to go and seeing the ki'i before you even, you know, shape the ki'i, you know, because it materializes in front of you,
right?
You know, and then from there, you know, carrying that journey over, and then protocols and blessings along the way. But, you know, we carry our culture along the way, you know. Leaving the islands does not mean that we leave our culture.
Right.
You know, we bring our culture with us and educate people along with us.
Right.
You know, again, so that I think that's the thing that if people really watch that movie, it's the backstories and the journey that took this to make it as authentic as we can.
Right.
You know, like we're not going to satisfy everybody, you know, but I tell you what, as the best job that we all can do with the relationships and the network and the people that we have, I thought that was the greatest that could be done with the platform that we're working on, you know, which is amazing, you know. And again, you know, I sometimes at first working in the film industry, I would pick things apart and kind of dissect things. And after a while, I told myself, I got to enjoy the movie, you know, and listen to the story. And I think that's what I'm asking, you know, the people behind is just sit back and just enjoy, you know, just be immersed, you know, in the culture, in the story, in every aspect of every emotion that comes across.
Right. Well, and, you know, through these talk story sessions, you know, I've mentioned it before, but I just want to be clear as we get to the end of these sessions that, you know, it's not perfect, you know, it's not even perfectly sound culturally, you know. The history, the chronology has been crunched, things have been moved around. Like that is a profession that I'm not afraid to make. And that was, you know, in the creative process, you know, I'll take the heat for that. I'll take whatever blame needs to come from that. Like we really did position ourselves with amazing cultural advisors that and practitioners. I mean, just like people that their lifelong pursuit is for the excellence of culture and in their Kuleana that they hold, but I'm not hiding behind them.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think we had this conversation also too, where I know you accept the Kuleana, but Kuleana goes in every single Kanaka that involved in this film, that we all accept Kuleana, all of us guys being a part of this. You know, we need to accept, you know, the Kuleana. I remember one was the set piece, right? When we was coming in, the design of the set, you know, and it was the AL, and we had all the culturalists all there and stuff too. And I made sure I brought them in, right? Knowing that you're going, oh my God.
I got the heat.
You got the heat. But it's good. Controversy and keeping us in check is good, right? Because for me, I find balance, because it puts us in a place like, oh, why is there different entries where you're only supposed to have this entry here? And the reason I said is because, okay, if we get that one entry, where camera will come from? You know, camera need one entry and need one exit, you know. So how are we going to film this to capture what we got to capture? And that's the thing about, you know, people need to understand that where things film, there's a process of filming that we need to execute in order to get the story told in that thing and stuff too. I thought turned out great, you know, in that and stuff too. But putting paw on the fire was, you know, part of the process. But I think you had a motive and you pulled it off, man. You put me on the heat on that one. And no, but like I said, that was and luckily, you know, things worked out in a different way. We discussed in past talk story sessions, but you know, I willingly was like, I understand that this is the cultural protocol, but like story wise, I think I got it.
it turned out I was wrong. And
no, but you was right in a way. I because again in our culture, we need for balance how we have to shoot this. So culture meets film. It's the process, right? So I think that's the thing. Everybody got educated. So that was that was the good part. And once we all understood that, right? Because we all storytellers and we all filmmakers. Once we get involved in this,
right.
And how we go through the process is as one family. Right. And in every family, there's always controversy and, but how we communicate and how we reset. But in the end, are we good with it?
Yeah.
And we all became good with the whole thing, So I'm proud of you, Pa. I'm proud of all of us.
Yeah. No, well, and I will say this, like, it really does become it's obviously a collective effort. And I think the product, now that, the finale is out there and everybody is seeing, what we did. I remember I had this conversation with Apple that, like, when we present this to the world, it actually needs to feel like it's Hawaii's gift.
Yeah.
It's not Apple's.
Yeah.
It's not mine and Jason's.
Yeah.
It's not ours.
Yeah.
It's Hawaii's gift to the world. And we need to see it that way, because it's gonna gain a life of its own.
Yeah.
Now there may be people out there that don't appreciate it, don't like it, and that's fine.
But that's good, because I think it may engage them to do one film.
Yeah.
Right. And tell them their way also too.
Right. Well, and the more Hawaii stuff we get out there, then we win. We win. And that's the thing. Like, I would love for this to become. Well, here's the one thing that I love. If somebody, doesn't like the approach, or can challenge, some decisions that were made creatively, at least we get to have the damn conversation.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, at least we get to have this discussion and be able to, like, dig into, well, if you do it this way, if somebody were to say, if you did it this way, it would have been better. And if you do this, it can be better, and can encourage other people to do it better. Like, and that would be, actually, nobody knows, but that would be one of the most amazing things is to be able to see other people produce and build and create content.
Yeah.
That I would love to see. You know what I mean? There's so many stories that we cannot tell them all.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And, like, I can't wait for that flood of people that see something and it sparks creativity, and they say, wow, if they want Hawaiian stories, I can do that. If they want stories at least about a Hawaii person, it doesn't have to be historical. It can be contemporary. It can be the struggles that's happening on this island or whatever.
I think the greatest thing right now too, that what we built, because we built such a big workforce development also too,
right.
that we can help our people, our culture, and we can actually tell the more lelos and more stories, and get more directors, more producers, more actors, those kind of things and stuff too. So to me, it's like how Aotearoa was before with Once Were Warriors. Right now, I feel that Chief of War going to be one real part of our change, in our way of how we film Hawaiian and Hawaii and stuff too.
Yeah.
I think it would ignite a lot of people,
right?
To kind of like, move forward. And I wouldn't mind helping, in 100%. Any shape or form.
100%.
You know what I mean? In guidance, in sharing, in equipment, in whatever and stuff too.
Right.
So I our legacy is just to, promote and move forward and, and be proud of who we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I will say this. One thing about the finale that really was wonderful about the show is that, the show was Hawaiian created. It's Hawaiian produced.
Yep.
Hawaiian written. Hawaiian acted. But because Jason directs this film, it makes it Hawaiian directed.
Yep.
And I want to talk about his ability, or Jason as a director.
Yeah.
Because this is a part of him that most people don't know. Yeah. And a lot of people see, Jason, he's either in a funny role or he's he's crazy and angry and you know, all of that. He's the guy that beats his chest, or he's the guy that makes you laugh, right? But that's, as a filmmaker, the pride of what he does is in this side of it, being behind the camera. Yeah. You want to talk a little bit about?
Oh yeah.
You know, Jason as a director.
Yeah, because you know, again, Jason as my family, but for me to shed that off and look at him as the professional, you know, because I already know that he can act, but as watching him direct, because I work with some of the greatest directors.
He's been around for a long time.
Yeah, some of the, I mean, heavy directors.
Yeah.
And a lot of directors get different background and methods, right? You know, whether they come from an acting background or DP background or editing background, you know, how they're going to position themselves to direct this film. And what was neat with watching Jason was his relationship with all the actors and the characters, because he already had trust in the crew, you know, of putting things in the right place, having all the action people, just everybody already, and the preparation that would go behind that, you know, with Jason. And what was great for me watching him, how smooth everything was.
Yeah.
That was the difference, right? The communication, and he knew what he wanted, you know, and he would move through that scene and knowing like, okay, let's retake this or move this around, or kind of just small, subtle kind of things.
Yeah.
Made all the difference,
right.
You know. And for me, you know, because I know water so good, and he working with me, I directed all the water scenes, right? You know, and him directing and then going underwater, you know, he pushes himself. I mean, we were under like 30 feet deep, you know, real 30 feet deep. And to act under pressure, underwater, with the lighting that we had and the things that we captured also too. I mean, it's like amazing in some of the stuff. He's directing in the lava field.
Yeah.
That, you know, it when people look at him, how dangerous that it can be, but the process of that and the time that he gave everybody to spend, and literally the concept for us is, if we're going to work on something that may be considered risky, how you going to reduce risk is be knowledgeable of that area, make that area your home.
Right.
Go crawl in them, go lay in them, go feel, go touch, go play. Everybody had time to go there and then choreograph all the intricate moves in the masses. Like, we had a lot of people.
We did. How many people do you think we had in the Kalapana?
Oh, man. You know, and here's the other thing too. In Kalapana, what was so great about Kalapana is we used Kalapana.
Yeah.
We used all the people in Kalapana.
Yeah.
And that was the great part about that. And even asking some of the families their relationship with, again, the characters, you know, and finding their relationship to you know, oh, I was related to that person here.
Right.
And then having Jason and us place them right next to the character and filming. That really gave me one pleasure of like, oh, the connection is just strong. You know? One of my magic moments, oh my God, was early in the morning, and we chanting. Well, one woman started off, was the sun rising, and all of a sudden started chanting the sun up, and it was just one person. And then from one person went to two, and then three, and then pretty soon we had hundreds of everybody, and it was just raw. Nobody told them what to do.
Right.
It was us existing in our time, in our culture,
right, and
then just bringing it up. And then that was the day that started. You know, that was heavy.
That was real heavy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that in a minute. I wanted to still, you know, with Jason directing for a little bit. I remember the production meeting when Jason brought up his plan to shoot, you know, in Kalapana, you know, the Black Desert. Yeah. And I remember I don't think people realized how prepared he is and understanding, like the lighting, where the sun's going to be at what time, where it's going to set, when it moves from here to there. And he had it so mapped out. But it was, realistically, from a production standpoint, it sounded nuts, right?
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm going to run 5 units. I'm going to run 5 units. We had over 300 people there, right? So he's like, I'm going to do the start of the battle sequence here. There's an amphitheater of, it was like an amphitheater-shaped crater inside of the lava field. And I'm going to do, Opunui and Heke sequence over here. And he's literally got it all mapped out. And we have to film, from this time to this time, and like all of this. And he's explaining it, and I'm looking at everybody's eyes, and they don't know how to process this. And when Jason's done, we end the meeting. He gets up and leaves, and I'm still there. And I promise you, everybody in the room, all I heard was, "Do you think we can do that?"
Yeah.
We got people going, "I've never heard of anything like that."
Yeah.
They're like, "Look, man, I don't know if we can do it." And so now we're in a room of people that not really sure, right? So it wasn't just a matter of him saying, "This is what we're going to do." He had to reinforce it. There was even a pitch, which from a production standpoint wasn't a bad idea. The idea was, let's not shoot this in Kalapana. Let's move this sequence to Aotearoa.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There really was the ask. Yeah. Let's move it over there because we can build it.
Yeah.
Because dangerous to shoot in the lava field, right? Like really sharp edges, hard rock, just the unpredictables. The ground is unlevel, and so from a safety standpoint, they're pushing, maybe we don't shoot here. We can build it so it can be soft, and we don't have to worry about lighting. We can make the lights and do all that, so we can control everything, and it will be cheaper and everything. And I remember Jason saying, "You can't take this away from Hawaii."
No. Yeah.
He says, "We will shoot it. We will be safe."
Yeah.
He says, "But it has to be done in this way." Because they have hundreds of hours of footage there because of these 5 different cameras, right? But the proposal to shoot 5 units, it sounds nuts.
Yeah.
But it was so meticulously planned, and that's the part that they don't understand.
I think that's the part. Because when you talked about that was the first meeting, everybody on shore.
Yeah.
And of course, because nobody made that area, that section their home yet.
Yeah.
It was through that process and planning of the landing. And it's like, what is our angles and what we going to capture, but what we're not going to capture, what we're going to frame out. And who is our talent working within our frame,
right?
And everybody there, again, Jason built that trust, right?
Yeah.
And it was giving that time in that preparation that made it successful, right? Yeah. That it even lifted all the risks into making it less risky or a lot more safe, of where we can hide pads or where we can do things, or how they're going to fall, or how they're going to choreograph moves, over and over and over, and then, like you said, when everything happened, it was a symphony of just action.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
I remember standing in a position to where I could see all units at once.
Yeah.
And
I think everybody was competing.
Yeah, because it was awesome. It was like, look at me. Look at me. Look what we doing. Yeah. Because there would be tons of people over here, but you have everything from not just the warriors, you have the long spears. And you got, you have Ahula, Mahiole, and Kahilis, and then you got that, and then you got the other side with equally as beautiful, equally amount of people. You got chanting going on. You got kuka ilimoku. You got
so much. Even some of the reveals, like from the capes to the guns to. It was like so much moments in there.
Well, that preparation, I think, and this is just to note that as a director, Jason killed it, but his support team, Brian Mendoza, JV, Uncle Ali, minor that was there, like just people that was, he could trust them, and trust everybody, and knew, and to be honest, watching that going, he pulled it off.
Yeah.
He pulled it off, and he pulled it off in a way that didn't lose in what would seem like chaos and confusion, especially when you're pitching an idea in a land that to some could be looked at as chaotic and confused terrain, but he was able to pull it together and shoot all of that at once.
You brought up something also too, like I said, how we keep each other in check, right? You know, and I remember Jason directing, and I understand how Jason was trying to bring in one shot, but it was culture versus how we shoot them. And then Ali, I was following Ali everywhere because I also wanted to learn, right? You know, from Ali and Mina. And Ali just when screaming stopped Jason, right? Like, hey! And then, you know, I remember Ali going, oh, I don't know if I should have done that. But no, speak out, you know, speak out. Jason's going to appreciate that. Go talk to Jason. This is part of being one director. You know, one director not like somebody just saying, yes. Right. You got to speak out. So Ali went right up to Jason, told him about what his concerns and how this should look, right, culturally. And Jason adapted and is like, oh, okay, you know, boom. And Ali was like, oh, wow. Yeah. So that's what I mean by how we balance each other, right? Keep each other in check. I think people don't understand that the journey is that when we put those people in place, right? And how they're going to keep us. Because once we start flowing, right, we shooting, sometimes there's a blindness of we have to get things going. But having other eyes to kind of just share and show, you know, helps us kind of redirect and make it the way it should be and the perfect way also too. Yeah. So I thought that was amazing, you know, and again, how Jason took it, right? Right. And how he just like, boom, and it's like he was just seamless. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was so many of those moments. I remember him directing when it started pouring rain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And just how it actually infused the actors.
Nobody left.
Yeah. Nobody moved.
Yeah.
And if anything, they just dug deeper.
Yeah.
And, you know, really pushed to get the best. That is one thing. Yeah. The directing was great. Yeah. But really, in that 300 people, you know what I mean? Or all the extras. Mm-hmm. And like you said, people that are of the land, you know, people that this means something to them. Mm-hmm. Some of the things they gave us, just, you know, whether it's in the actual fighting or in the preparation, the training with you, their commitment to this was another reason that it had to stay.
I think that's the thing I'm proud about this movie is I'm proud for them, right? You know, because you can see them on film, right? You know, in their past. Right. You know, doing this for their culture. Right. You know, also too. Yeah.
I remember there was we didn't have a lot of injuries, but, you know, we had a few, right? Because it's inevitable. Yeah. And we understood that the crew understood it. Yeah. You know, because not only are the background have to be careful, or the actors have to be careful. All the movement of everything on a terrain that's unforgivable, right? I remember there was a day where one of the warriors in you know, that was in the fight was Chad Owen, and he had cut himself pretty bad. Yeah. You know, and you know, so they want to pull him off. And he's like, no, I'll be fine. Yeah. They went, they stitched it up, wrapped it up, and it was like, I'm here. Here the next day. But the one that really got me, and it was
Audrey.
Yeah. Yeah. She was able to do it the whole shoot. I think it was the last day. Yeah. We're actually in one of the last setups. Yeah. And so getting dark, and she fell and split her knee. And so in that location, hard to stop the blood. So they tried to pull her off, and she says no. She goes, I'm a warrior. I have to be out there. You know, so they wrapped it up and tried to make it, you know, the same color as the skin and all that, so she could stay in. But the thing was just was too much. It was bleeding too much. It's not safe.
Yeah.
So they pulled her off, and she's sitting on the side, and she has a tear, and she wasn't upset because she was hurt. She was upset because she didn't get to finish the shot.
Yeah.
And, you know, great, you know, mana wahine.
Yeah.
You know,
warrior spirit.
Yeah, that warrior spirit. Yeah. They gave it to us. Like, they give it to you for free if you needed it. They're just there to support, you know, the storytelling aspect of this thing. They're there to represent, you know, the people. And and the history, you know.
Yeah.
And I just remember feeling like, I was like, God, like that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, that pulling the ancestors out of them, you know, pulling it out of us, and that we collectively standing in a place. And I think that's a good segue into.
Yeah, and I think what people don't understand too is when we shot there, like for the first day of shooting, it's the eruption, actual eruption, right? And so when you talk about Welina, it's like, oh my God, you know, it's erupting. And then of course we fabricating the eruptions with our lighting and stuff like that too. But the essence and the feeling of that land, and you know, all the smoke that we had also too, that put you into that era, right? Everybody there was just so, I mean, man, that's why I said time bubble. You know, everybody felt, you know, I mean, when you talk about feeling Hawaiian, you know, and feeling part of your culture, your heritage, your family, and all that, the people who were part of that process understand what I'm talking about, right?
Well, I will say that, I mean, you mentioned it earlier. You said that, you know, we understand that the ocean is alive, the land is alive. And I would argue that the land has memory.
Oh, yeah.
Because here we are recreating fake Hollywood, you know, using all the tricks, you know, and all of that. But we're retelling a story of an actual eruption. We're retelling a story of conflict with ancestors, ali'i, and a chiefly history. Like we're representing those things. You know, we're re-explaining these characters. We're showing them to the world. And there, you know, there was a situation where this volcano exploded and you know, wiped out part of Keoa's army. We're retelling that story. Yeah. And the morning that we decide to start shooting that scene, the volcano it starts to erupt.
Yeah.
And you got the call.
Yeah, 2 in the morning.
2 in the morning. You got the call. I think he called you first because mine was probably more like 3 in the morning. But, you know, I get a call from Tucson.
And this is Jason, 2 in the morning, calling me up.
Yeah. He's like, he told me, he goes, the volcano is fucking erupting. That's actually what he said.
Yeah. You know what I told him? Go back to sleep. You got to work.
Yeah, no, but it was a big deal.
Oh, I know.
And it meant a lot. And what was wonderful about this is this whole time, you know, it took us almost 2 weeks or so to film the whole thing. And
erupt the whole time.
And
when we finished, the eruption stopped.
Yeah. It was, what was beautiful is every day after we would shoot, you could see the eruptions from the hotel. Yeah. Or people would drive, you know, to the location and just be able to sit there and take it in. Yeah. Then the next day we go work and we go back at it again. And then at night, the volcano is present and active the whole time we're there. And then, like you said, that night that we called rap, we had our little rap party. Yeah. I remember waking up in the morning, the next morning, to the news saying that it had stopped that night. Yeah.
And I took my family nighttime, right? So we went, and one volcano is erupting, all the lava, right, all red, and the other volcano was on full-on blizzard, snow. So when you talk about the elements, you know, you're going like, man, that heavy.
There was one thing that I remembered about that. It took me like a day or two to process, you know, after we were done shooting. But one thing that stood out to me is, you know, we had our blessing, you know, that morning. Kamehameha. And did this blessing, and, you know, was just setting our intentions, and, you know, this is already going. The eruptions have already started. But then we got dumped on with this rain. Just that, another Hawaiian, just that cleansing, just that, you know, we're about to begin, you know, we have that.
It was a big cleanse.
Yeah, it was a big cleanse. And it poured on us. But just, what was really funny is I didn't realize it till later. When we wrapped, remember that night right before the wrap party? We called wrap. Same thing. Within a few minutes, we got dumped on. Poured on us. And I remember thinking about that, trying to process what this could mean. And I remember calling Jason, and I said, hey, so in Hawaiian ceremony, you know, you open with that, you know, with a pule, you close with a pule, you know, and Hawaiiana, you know, in this case, there's a spiritual opening with the rain, a spiritual closing with the rain, you know. And I said, and with the active eruptions beginning and ending at that time, I said that would make what we did in the Black Desert, Kalapana, ceremony.
Yeah.
So all the costumes, all the acting, the directing, all that preparation, all that hard work, the implements, everything. So it all became ceremony. And I've never even heard of or would have ever thought to think that a production, could profess that everything that was done in Kalapana could in some form be culturally acceptable to say that was all ceremony. And again, it comes back to Jason's stance that we cannot leave Hawaii. This scene had to be shot there because we wouldn't have had that cultural impact. We wouldn't have had that experience to be able to look back and say, look what happened when we were there. That we were all reminded that the land is alive, and we were participants in that eruption. We were a part of it. And I would never, ever profess to say that it happened because of us. We were just allowed to be a part of this thing that was happening. We were in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, that we got to experience that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So in the end, that's the thing about the finale that I want people to walk away from and to be able to say, yeah, it was enjoyable. The show came to a culmination of this moment for us to be able to see this recreation, this reenactment of this story that happened with Kamehameha, Keoa Kuahula, in this place. But behind the scenes, it was equally as impactful for all of us that were there. And under Jason's guidance as a director, that's what we pulled off. Just incredible, man.
Yeah. I mean, hats off to you and Jason to just being the warriors, because there's a lot of battles, right, that you guys had to battle to try and get the end result, to what this whole thing represent, also too. So thanks, Pa.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hey. Yeah. Look, mahalo for your time, mahalo for being here. I'm so glad that we were able to start and end these Talk Story sessions with you sitting here, being a part of it. The finale is just really the beginning, right? Yeah. The finale, all of these episodes, 9 episodes, to bring us to this point, to bring us to this place and say, glad you guys got to enjoy that.
Yeah.
But we got a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
We got a lot more. Yeah.
Take a deep breath.
So yeah, main thing we figure this out and we move forward.
Yeah.
But I love you. Thank you for being here.
Love you too. Right on, Pa.
Aloha.
Yeah.
Mahalo nui to our viewers and listeners for joining us as we dug deeper into the brilliance and burdens of Hawaii's chiefs beyond what was experienced in the Chief of War show. I'm Pa'akai Sibbett. Until next time, aloha.